Hello, my name is Omar Rampersad. It's Tuesday, May 8, 2018 at 1:20 p.m. in Toronto. So I'm doing this blurb, and I'm trying to do it on a daily basis because I know I am being community targeted and there's all kinds of rumors being spread out there about me. So rumors about, my being a prostitute, but we're not going to go in there, and all the other suspected acts I'm supposed to have done. But let's deal with, of course, I'm not a prostitute, just to say that. Let's deal with the mental health issue. So, part of the recruitment process is to make the person seem to be mentally ill and to have a diagnosis at the end of that process. So, first, you have to label the person as somebody who's retarded, mentally ill, slow, mentally slow, emotionally um, what is that word? Emotional perturbation, I believe is the word. Emotionally unstable. So the way this is being done with me, and I covered this topic before, is I'm being harassed constantly, criminally and viciously harassed as a prostitute, and all kinds of nasty things are being said because apparently somebody looked into my home from what the harassing comments I heard, and saw masturbation. So the comment is constantly being made by people outside the window out there that I f myself and it's a sin, and nobody should do it this way, and it looked like I was giving birth. But just as a sideline, let me just let me just address that topic for a minute. Um, from my philosophy and my background, good sex with a person you love can actually show you the way to what the Hindus call um, nirvana, which is a state of happiness that is that you don't normally experience. You have to go through the stimulation of the part of the brain that allows you to feel the intensity of the emotion. And in order to do that, one way to do that, you can actually do it mentally. But one way to do it is through having sex, good sex, with a loving partner in the with good intentions, positive intentions, and with somebody you care about and who supports you, and it's a mutual, of course, a mutual relationship, respect being the basis for it. It's the only way, the only way. So sex, then good sex, and by that I mean everything I just said, um, is one way to reach that state of happiness. One way. So if somebody were to um, put a camera in my bedroom and saw me having good sex with myself, so keep in mind that good sex doesn't necessarily have to be with another person. It could be with yourself in a state of love. So um, you can actually think yourself into a state of happiness using your spinal column, using your brain, using your senses, and it's a positive thing. It's an extremely positive thing. Again, I said this before. Um, I'm an advocate for masturbation, good masturbation in a positive way that will make you feel better about yourself, increase your self-esteem, increase your the power you have not only over yourself but over the process of managing relationships with other people. You understand yourself better. So if somebody were to put a camera in my bedroom and recorded this, and in my case, I believe everything about me is being recorded because I'm a target and an illegal experimental subject, meaning that at any point in time there is a manager that's managing the experiment and managing the so-called target, which is really an experimentee, an unwitting experimentee. So there is a file that is floating around with this person's history, and everything about this person has been recorded inside their homes. So the manager has access to this file. So if the manager thinks that what he's looking at is a sin, if it's a Muslim Sharia man, as an example, I'm not picking on Muslim people. I'm just saying Sharia is anti-human rights. So they would find ways to um, to clean, quote unquote, the person, or just to kill them, rape and kill them, basically. Keep in mind, this is all an illegal activity, and it's a criminal organization running this targeting program. So a rape and kill is part of the program. And this can be done with remote technologies like lasers. And like I said in one of my tweets, in this day and age, speaking of a woman who is saying that she's being trafficked, being hit with laser is not an unreasonable statement to say. This is not paranoia, because I have evidence to prove what I'm saying. It's not in my head. So, let's talk about the mental illness part of that, how that relates to mental illness. So, in some cultures, masturbation is equal to prostitution, and prostitution and mental illness goes hand in hand because somebody would have to be not really there to become a prostitute. It'd have to be criminal minded to be a prostitute. So that's where the link is. They'd have to be emotionally unstable to masturbate. That's where the link is. So I'm here to say that the way I think of masturbation has absolutely nothing to do with sins, because I really don't subscribe to any religion. I just I'm into developing my spiritual side, and that for me involves drawing from all so-called religion, quote unquote, texts that studies the in-depth study of the spiritual side of our nature. I'm not into any religion, so this is my take on it. This is why I do it. This is um, the goal of doing it, to not only to get that state of happiness which relaxes you completely. um, it releases all kinds of good hormones in your system, basically. So it's a good thing overall, given that you're doing it in a positive state of mind. So sex with yourself gives the same benefits as sex with somebody else, because, in my opinion, because you if you do it in a state of love, then your brain really doesn't know that the difference. Your brain really doesn't know the difference. Excuse me, whether you're doing it or yourself or you're doing it with somebody else. But the state of love, the emotion of love, is still there. So you're getting the benefits of the emotion, because emotions is a frequency, and emotion and love is a positive frequency. So your body becomes in a positive state, and a positive emotional state, which relaxes you. So a little bit of the spiritual side, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So this is how your activities in the bedroom, because I'm a target when it's viewed by illegally viewed, criminally viewed by people who are not supposed to be looking, because they're criminals who do this. So there'd be rapists doing this, there'd be pimps doing this, there'd be Johns doing this. So keep in mind that you're being trafficked as part of this program. These are criminal people who are doing it, and they have the ability to hook up to a system because they can train the person. This is part of the trafficking. They can train the person to do things that they want the person to do to suit them, to meet their needs. So the criminals hook the person up, installs the person to be hit with things like lasers and microwaves. This is part of the trafficking. To be hit with lasers and microwaves by the master, by the John, by the pimp, to train the person to do the things that that person wants remotely. So there is no mental illness here, let me just say. If there are any submissions to any courts, magistrates, and so on about my being mentally unstable, and I can't think for myself, and I'm slow mentally, and I need to be living in a group home, and I need to be in a long-term facility. This is as a result of deliberately misinterpreting my actions, my words. A good example of misinterpreting my actions is I go to my brother's house, and I massage his foot, and he's extremely ill. And I do believe in touch. Touch heals. The intent of touch heals. It's a frequency. Massaging his foot, massaging his knees, his neck, his head, to relax him because he's on dialysis every day, which is very, very stressful. And he sits, on the chair or the bed for those hours. So, and his feet are sore, so he can't exercise. So massage is one way to get the circulation going. So, um, and I've studied a little bit about acupuncture points, so I massage him. So somebody seeing that, like, somebody who's targeting me, would say that there's a sexual intention to take advantage of the brother who is in a vulnerable state. This is the crap, the complete, uh, um, deliberate, the criminal act of turning my intention to help my brother. This is my brother, who is dying basically, into something sexual, which is there is absolutely no truth in it. There's nothing sexual in this whole thing. Absolutely nothing sexual. But because I'm being monitored as a prostitute and I'm being sexualized, I heard that somebody took a video of me masturbating and it's playing it in a court over and over and over, or in meetings, community meetings, over and over and over, to label me and sexualize me. These actions, and it's in the public. So if I were to touch somebody, like my niece's face, or to touch, accidentally touch somebody in the subway going in, this would be perceived as something that was deliberate. And it's all based on piggybacking on the reports that's deliberately misinterpreting my actions, my words. This is all part of targeting. Right now, I'm doing this because I am afraid, and it's happened before. I'm afraid that someone would come to my door and pull me out without any questioning based on the lies, like I just said. As an example, these lies are being told on a continuous basis, and submissions are being made on a continuous basis for me to get a mental health evaluation. So these lies are being told. So I'm afraid that since I'm being targeted in the building, that somebody from the building will call the cops one day and they will come and pull me out and I'll be drugged because the cops have, well, not generally the cops, the ones who are taking the calls, have this huge file in their system portraying me as a mentally ill prostitute who's criminal minded based on the lies that's being told, affidavits that's been sworn that are lies, basically, that will substantiate that portrayal of me. So these documents, the paperwork is there that paints me this way. So the single person in the police force who will take this to the magistrate as a backup will deliberately do so because he is the one who's taking the calls. Now, I am being trafficked because there are men who are serially adjoining and espousing me. I'm being monitored serially by men. So this is a form of trafficking. So that's evidence of my being trafficked. So the constant submissions is a way of bringing me in and portraying me as mentally ill and having that record created that says, well, gee, look, we pulled her in and there's all this backup here and they're based on lies and they're coming from traffickers who's trafficking me. This is where this is coming from because the fact that I'm being adjoined by multiple men is evidence that I am being trafficked, and I'm complaining to the police that men are following me around. Now, the remote side needs investigation and evidence to substantiate it, and it's very easily done. Cell phone records, computer ISP reports. You need a password, you need a link. These are digital information, digital footprinting that can easily be pulled if it's investigated. So no mental illness, no mental retardation, not a prostitute, not interested in becoming one, remote or otherwise. And if people, I keep hearing the name Rick, if people like Rick are trying to recruit, I suggest you go elsewhere because the training is not going to work here. Talk to you another time.